Yes, now we'll turn our attention to, we talk about this on a regular basis. You also do on the streets in your little corner. It's there in newspapers when you flip them, leadership in the country. Well, Tunde Fagbenle joins us now. He's a journalist, a columnist, and a public affairs analyst. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
You've written several times on this matter. One of the last unwanted, a leader to be proud of. And boy, looking at that headline, and then you delve into it where you talked about ethnicity, mediocrity. These are deep issues we're facing in this country.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And, it's very troubling times. Those of us who are of the older generation, I may look young, but I'm not that young. We've seen better days. We've seen times when we had leaders who you'll be proud of, who will talk and hold their ground, anywhere in the world. Even Tafawa Balewa in the First Republic, for those of us who knew him, when the guy speaks, you'll be happy, And I don't know, at some point I kind of think, well, look, if you're not comfortable with English language, maybe you speak in your own native language. Maybe we should have a situation where people can communicate in a language they're comfortable with and have interpreters. But it is terrible when we have leaders who represent us and are not able to even communicate their thoughts, aside the fact that in most instances, even these thoughts are not deep enough. So how come we have a country where come we always end up having leaders in the last God knows how many that run contrary to the to the quantum of intellectualism that exists in this country. Everywhere in the world, you find Nigerians in great, scientists, professors, doctors, and
they're doing great where they are.
Yes, and so the question that always comes to us, I also happen to have gone to university in England and all that. The question that comes to you is, if you're this bright, what's wrong with your country? How come what's happening there? And you're just dumb. You don't know what to say. Yes, you can attribute some of these things to rigging. Oh, well, we didn't put them there. They rigged themselves back there. But when you look at it deep enough, you find that actually the problem of that leadership thing falls back again on the followership.
Just quickly before we go to the next question, you seem to be referring to the charisma of the leaders that we've produced in recent times.
Yes.
Does charisma really have a lot to do with leadership?
It's important because perception and everything is crucial. I just gave an example in what happened in Côte d'Ivoire at the last summit.
Yes, I read that.
Yes,
Go through
the economic summit that African countries and everything, ministers of finance and economic planning and all that, and we had a Nigerian there who, when it was his turn to talk, in the person of the central bank governor, you don't have to like him. But here is somebody who started community, who was, an actor, actually, if you want to see one, but he was sound, both in thought and in delivery, and captivated the whole hall, the whole audience. It was like, what's this? And you just found everybody applauding. The whole hall erupted. An otherwise conservative place where you're not meant to clap, but everybody just threw caution to that. Anyway, what I'm just trying to say is that something just warms up in you that tells you this is my Nigerian, So charisma is crucial because then even, that's where it starts, for people to even look at you, like you, and then start believing in you.
Let's go back to the followers. You talk about followership, and you say, well, that's another point. How can we, from now, start thinking of the kind of leaders we want Do we just sit back and watch things go the way it's been going? If you say, well, you had your own fair share of good leaders at that point in time, you also mentioned the Balewas and so many other leaders of that time.
Awolowo, Zik, all these guys, when they talk, you know somebody with...
But after that time, we haven't even mentioned new leaders, set of leaders. So we keep talking about the Awolowo, we keep talking about the Balewas. So what can we do to change the whole equation?
So what is important is that Nigerians themselves have to recognize that, the fault is in themselves. It's not in their stars. That they have in the power to elect the sort of leaders they want. And because of the corruption, and I'm not talking about corruption in the ordinary sense of it now, but even the corruption of a system through military rules and every prolonged military rule and corruption also of our values, it carried on, it comes along with apathy, because you find that repeatedly people's votes have not counted simply because they've been, of the rigging, people, powers forcing themselves through, and so there's a lot of apathy on the side of the electorate, which is a sad thing. But now we have allowed democracy, quote and unquote, to reign in the last, 13 years. So we are evolving, and so it is time now for people to get off those don't look attitude.
But there's still a dangerous perception out there. In fact, some say it's reality